A very happy new month to you all. In today's video, I'll be making this lovely dress, how to cut it and how to sew it. A beautiful bustier gown with keyhole at the neck side and a drape on the waist hip line. So I copied here to make the B. First time you're welcome, and to all my subscribers, you're welcome. So we're going to start from the upper area of the front part. So I have the paper already and I have some line already drawn it. So the first line is my starting point and I came down 8, which is my chest line, CL. Then I came to 10, which is my bust point. I came to 13 on the bust, and the last line, which is the half length, and is 15 for me. It differs, yours might be 17, 16. So from the starting point, I marked out the neck. Depth, I used 3. Then the wideness, I also used 3. So after I was done doing that, I want to take the shoulder measurement. My shoulder measurement divided by 2, and I added 0.5. I slanted it down with 1 inch, and I connected the line to the chest line exactly the way I'm doing it. After I was done, at the angle of that chest line, I came up 1 inch and I cuff it to get my perfect armhole. And if you have your cuff ruler, just go ahead and place it there and cuff it out. Then at the center, I came in deeply 4 inches, which is for my bust span. The bust span is 3.5. I added 0.5. Then after I marked it on all the horizontal vertical line, I came up with 1 inch to form my chest line, because I don't want the chest to be too down. So I came up 1 inch. On the half length, towards the center part, I marked 0.5. Then on the underbust, I marked 0.5. Towards the outside, I marked 1 inch on both half length and the underbust. Then I connected these two lines together. Then on the bust point, I came down 0.5. And I'm going to be connecting this with this cuff exactly the way you're seeing it. Yes, I use 0.5 on the smaller parts. I'm not that busty. Then on the shoulder, I divided the shoulder points into 2, exactly the way you're seeing, and I connected it straight to the mark I have on the chest line, which is the CL. Okay, on the new chest line I formed by coming up 1 inch on the chest line, on both sides I marked 1 inch, and I'm going to be connecting this 1 inch down to the bust points I have down. You can see the curve is not that protruding, and like it's not too cuffy because my bust is small. After I was done doing that, I proceeded to marking out my measurements. So the circumference of my bust, dividing it by 4, I marked it on the chest line. Then I also marked the dart I have. I replaced it by including it at the back. Then I added my allowance. Did you get this? On my underbust, dividing my underbust measurements, my waist divided by 4, I marked what I have inside for the dart because I'm going to be cutting it out. I replaced it at the back. Then I added my allowance. I added about 2 inches allowance on all the parts that has the allowance. Then on the half length, I did the same thing, dividing my waist measurement into 4. I marked what I have for the darts. I replaced, and I also added my allowance. Then on the armhole parts, I divided that armhole curve into 2. And I came upward, like I came to the front about 0.5 and I cuff it. This is just for the front parts. It's not going to be having effects on the back parts. So I'll go ahead now and cut out. Just take a look at how I'm cutting out, so that you know the parts we're going to remove and the parts we need. So this is the dart parts I was talking about. I'm going to be cutting off. So I'm cutting it now. You can see exactly how I'm cuffing it. When you are cutting, ensure what you already marked is what you are cutting, so that you're not going to make mistake and your dress is going to come out very neat. So please, as you're watching, don't forget to give it a like, please. Okay, also, if you want me to make a video on how to take perfect measurements, just leave it in the comment box below. So after I was done, you can see the armhole part now. I cuff it because I'm going to be using this to cut straight on the front parts. So you can see perfectly what I have. Then I will remove the parts I don't need now. You can see the parts I don't need. I've removed it. So after I was done doing this is the fabric. I'm going to be cutting out on the fabric using the pattern I already cut out. So you can see my fabric now is on fold. While I was cutting using paper, the paper was not on fold. But while I was cutting using my fabric was on fold. And you can see I left some 0.2 allowance for the fabric, although I already have some allowance on it. I just had to leave some parts. So you can see perfectly what we have now. You can see the 2 sides, the 3 patterns already. This is just for the front parts alone. And we are not yet done with the front part, but for now you can see exactly what we have. You can see this is me just arranging it back the way it was initially. I really hope someone gets this very right. Then I discovered the dress we're making, the chest point is not that flat, so I decided to come down about 0.5 to get this sweetheart kind of neck. So you can see perfectly now I'm getting it on the neck. This is the center part of the fabric. You can see the sweetheart, just a very small sweetheart neck, and that's why I came down with 0.5. Okay, after that I'm going to keep this fabric now. Then we'll proceed to the front part, the upper area that has the keyhole. So you remember when I was cutting, this fabric was never on fold, so I have to get it on fold and with a paper draft so that I can do everything I want to do before I'll proceed to cut it on the fabric. So I grab another paper and I'm cutting it, but this paper, the white paper now, is on fold. So by the time I open it, you are going to see all the parts of the front. So now, then I was now thinking that this neck, it might be too down for me since it has a keyhole at the neck. So I came up again 0.5. So the neck now is 2.5 instead of 3. I hope you get that. So when you're marking your neck, just use 2.5. Then after I place the paper drafts, I label the left and the right, the part that is going to be on the left on me and the right on me. Then I came to inward by 3 inches. You can see 3 inches on both sides, and on the right side I came upward about 4.5. I came up 4.5. You can see. Then I'm going to be connecting it downward exactly the way you're seeing. 4.5 I came up with. Then from that 4.5 I'm going to be slanting it to the L side, that is the left side, exactly the way you're seeing. Take a look at what I'm doing, you're going to understand. It's another reminder, please like this video, and if you are yet to subscribe to my channel, please click on the subscribe button and don't forget to on the notification bell so that you get notified anytime I upload a new video. And I have some amazing videos on my channel. You can just go ahead after this video, go ahead and just watch them also. Thank you. After I was done doing this, I just went ahead to cut out this keyhole I have cut already. I went out, I cut it out so you can see perfectly. And now from the style we are replicating, the keyhole is net, is a skin tone net, so I have it cut out in skin tone net, and the other part I have it already cut out with my fabric. And on my fabric I already glue or iron my clothes stay on the fabric. You can see exactly the downward is already whitish, so that is the clothes stain already glue on it. So we'll proceed to cut the back parts. So the back, I'm going to be using the fabric, and I have the starting point marked down to 15 inches, which is my half length. Then I'm going to be marking the zipper allowance. I use just 1.5 for zipper allowance. 1.5 inches I marked on the center part of the fabric I laid on the table, and I connected the lines together. So I'll go ahead and just cut out that starting point so I'll know this is exactly what I'm working with. So from the starting point now, we are going to be marking the shoulder measurement, but first I'll mark out the neck measurement. The wideness of the neck remain 3, so I'll mark 3. Remember the zipper allowance I didn't include it in the 3. Then I came down using just 2 inches for the depth of the back. Then after that, I'm going to be marking the shoulder measurements. Remember dividing my shoulder measurement into 2, slanting it down with 1 inch, exactly the way I did for the front part. So I'm going to be connecting it together slantly like that. And after I was done doing that, I was just cross-checking everything I have there. After I was done, I placed my tape rule again. I came down to 8 inches, which is downward, which is the chest line, and I'm going to be connecting it together with the shoulder point I have, exactly the way I'm doing. Then for the cuff, I came up 1 inch. I cuff it just exactly the way I did for the front part. Then at this point, I say, oh, let me fold the zipper allowance so that it's not going to be affecting, I will not mistake it with the main measurements. Then on the center part, I came inwardly like 4 inches. I marked it. I came 4 inches on both sides. From the down part, which is the half length, I came 0.5. I marked 0.5. Then on the chest line, I came down 0.5 and I just connected it together. This is my dart for the back part. So after I was done doing this, I'm going to be dividing the circumference of my bust measurements into 4. Then I'll mark it on the chest line, then add my allowance. Remember the allowance, let it be consistent. If you're using 2 inches, use 2 inches all through. Then on the down part, which is the half length, I divided my waist measurement into 4. I marked it. Then I also marked what I have for the darts. I replaced it at the back also. So I connected the points together and I went ahead to just cut out everything I have. You can see I was just accurate, like the fabric I have already was just enough. Then for this dart part is optional. You can decide to cut it out and you can decide to just leave it. So me, I decided to just cut it out now. If you decide to leave it, when you're holding, you ensure what you marked is already what you are sewing together. But since I already cut it out, yeah, it's cool. So after that, I went ahead to cut other parts. Then the center part also, I cut it out. The zipper part, remember that's where the zipper is going to be. So you can see the 2 pieces we have already for the back side. That is the zipper I'm going to be using later on. And after I was done doing this, I just put everything together. Remember, I'm going to be closing the darts parts together. Then we're going to proceed now to the sleeve parts. So for the sleeve, I have this small piece. I just want the length of the sleeve to be like 7 inches, and I marked 8.5 here, half for sewing and the 1 inch for folding. Then on the upper parts, I came down like 4 inches downward, the way you're seeing it, and I slanted it down to get that a kind of not zigzag, not S-like shape, exactly the way you're seeing it, and that's perfect for the sleeve. Then for the round sleeve, that is me just measuring my sleeve, round sleeve, and it's about 10 inches. So I divided by 2. I have 5. I marked it. Then I added about 1 inch allowance. I marked it also, and I'm going to be connecting it to the cuff I have for the sleeve part. So this is me just measuring the cuff to see if it's going to be perfect, that is going to enter perfectly into the armhole. After that, I just went ahead to cut out what I already marked on the fabric. You can see this is just for one sleeve. I will use it to cut on another part to get the second sleeve. Then for the down parts, I have this fabric again. I'm going to be folding. This time around, I'm cutting both fronts and parts together. So you can see how I folded my fabric on fold, and I folded it all together into 4. I'm just trimming out the edges so that it's going to be equal. And now, if you notice perfectly what I folded, this part I'm trimming out is going to be for the back part, and from there I'm going to be marking out the zipper allowance. I also use 1.5. I marked it 1.5 all through to the down part. You can see now, you can see the other one that I placed on it, which I folded together, is I'm going to be using it for the front part, and that is the zipper I'm going to be using to connect everything together. And that place I marked automatically stands as the center part of it. So now this is me getting my accurate measurement. The main measurement of the gown is 40, and for my half length, shoulder to half length, is 15. So removing that 15 from the 40, you see, I just placed my tape rule right on 15 and I came down to about 40, but I made it 42 for sewing allowance. Then after that, I placed my tape rule again back on the starting point and I came down 10 inches, which is going to be my hip line. Then the starting point is my waistline, so that's where I'm going to take waist measurements and the other part for my hip measurements. Then for the waist measurements, I'm going to be dividing the circumference, that is what I marked, what I measured when I was taking my measurements. We divide it on the waist. I'll divide it by 4 and I marked it. Then I added 2 inches allowance. Then on the hip, I divided the circumference also into 4 and I'm going to be marking it now on the hip line. And after that, I'll also include my allowance, which is 2 inches. So for us to get the knee line, what we are going to mark for the knee line is not really compulsory. It's not optionally compulsory to mark or to measure your knee. No. So what I do is that I remove 1 inch or 1.5 inches, depends on how big the thigh of the person is, from what I marked on the hip line. Then I'll mark it. I'll use it to mark for the knee line. I hope you understand. So on the hip line, with the allowance, everything, let's assume is 12. So from the knee, what I'm going to mark might be 10.5. You understand? So after that, I connected the points together and I'm cutting it out exactly the way you're seeing it. So you can see I'm removing the part I don't need. So these are the other parts. So this is the front part now. You can see the front part is already standing well. Then for the back part, we have it already, including with the zipper allowance. So you can see perfectly what we have. This is the down part, and this is just basic cutting, and it's very simple. I really hope you're understanding, and if you're understanding, please give it a thumbs up. Please don't forget to also subscribe and on the notification bell. Thank you. We move now to the sewing part. So we are going to be starting the sewing part from the down part now. So I've gone ahead to cut out my the fabric with lining, and if you notice very well, the fabric and the lining for the down part is not equal. Remember, I added extra 2 inches allowance for the length while I was cutting on the fabric, is to fold up the lining. So I'll go ahead and just connect it together with the lining, and I've gone ahead to stitch it together, and I'll open it up now and stop stitch on the lining. So this is what I have after I stop stitch on the lining. Then for the 2 inches I added, this is why I added it. So you can see how I'm folding it up with the distance. You can see what I fold up now. At this point, both lining and the fabric is now equal. I'll go ahead and stitch the down and the two sides together. And this is what I have after I was done stitching the two sides together. Then I'll put my hand in through the waist part and I'll turn it inside out. You can see, because while I was stitching, front side was face front side, you understand? So after I turn it out, you can see perfectly what I have. So this is what I have, and I'll go ahead now and just stitch up the waist part. I did exactly for the other two parts of the back, and now we'll proceed to the back part of the upper area. This is the back part for the back, but the upper part. Then I've also gone ahead to cut out my lining with it. I'll first go ahead and stitch the neck together. This is me just using pin to hold up the darts. Then I'll first connect the neck part together. What I'm doing to this, I'll do to both, and after I'll sew the sides together. This is me sewing the side together. And at this point, I also stitch the down parts together, but later on I lose the down parts. It's not really necessary to sew the down parts together, but if you want all your sewing to be hidden, you can sew the down parts. So this is what I have now after I put inside out through the armhole area. Remember, the armhole was not sewn together. So this is what I have. Also remember, anything I'm doing to this part, I'm going to be doing it to the other parts too. Okay, at this point now, I'm going to be bringing the back parts, both the down and the upper part together, to connect it together. I'll connect it together on the waist parts. You can see now I'm going to be connecting it together making the right side face the right side, and anything I'm doing to this, I'm doing to the left side also. So this is what I have after I've connected the 2 points together, the two parts together. And now at this point, I'm going to be marking out the zipper allowance, and this is the main work to get your zipper placed very well without having a kind of budging or zipper folding. Just take a look at exactly what I'm doing. Remember when I was marking out the zipper allowance, I used 1.5, and that is the 1.5 I'm just marking out on the zipper part. That is the area that the zipper is going to be. You can see now. Then to avoid budging, on that point that I joined the two together, which is going to be my half length point, which is the waist point, I will go inwardly 0.5. Guys, don't forget 0.5. So now from 0.5 on that same point, I will go upward about 4.5, downward 4.5. So you can see I marked it inwardly 0.5. I go upward 4.5, then downward 4.5, and I'm going to be slanting it using this ruler to slant it, connect everything together. You can see that small slanting I have there. So while sewing the zipper, I'm going to be following that part to stitch the zipper. So I will now have to follow the 1.5 initial mark I have for the zipper. I'm going to following it slantly, exactly the way I place it. That's how I'm going to be joining it together on both sides also. And I really hope you know how to fix a perfect zipper. If you don't, tell me in the comment section. I'm going to be showing us in our next tutorial how to do that. So this is the front part now. You can see I've gone ahead to glue or iron my clothes stain on it so that it's going to be structured, and I've also gone ahead to mark to cut out lining for it. And this is it. I just place the parts together. Anything I'm doing to this fabric, I'm also going to be doing it to the lining. So I place it the way I place it now. That's how I'm going to stitch it together. And this is what I have after I was done stitching it side by side together. You can see now. And putting a stain or a clothes stain on this already giving it a very nice structure even without a breast pad. And if you want a breast pad cutting, in my previous video, I'm going to be linking it in the description box. I also showed us how to cut perfectly a breast pad. You can go ahead and watch it. And this is the upper part of the front. You can see the skin tone net we are going to be using to cover up the keyhole part of it. And you can see the cutting out everything. I left about 0.2 inch on the side. So I'm going to be using that to connect together. And I'm also going ahead to cut out the lining exactly the way I have the part. You can see it now. This is the lining. So proceeding to the sewing, I'm going to start by stitching the neck part first together. And this can be so tricky. If you look at the fabric, the dress we are replicating, this net was actually placed on it with the sewing part, everything showing. But later on was trimmed out, and you can see they beaded on top that to cover up the stitching part. But this is an optional. What if you don't want to put a bead or you don't want to bead that part? So I'm just showing us how to do it without putting beads, you understand, and you can see where it's perfectly, or I putting any aplex there. But if you are putting aplex, just the way after connecting the neck together like this, put the connecting the neck parts together, place your skin tone net on it and stitch it together with the lining. Just stitch it on top neatly like that without stress. Then trim up all the excesses you have, then use the aplex or the bead to cover up everything. But this is what I did. After I've connected the neck together, I put the net and the lining in between. Exactly, just take a look at what I'm doing. I stitch. So after I was done stitching it together, you can see everything is inward like this. So I'm going to be turning it inside out from the side. You can see what I have after I was done turning it inside out. And now I noticed the curve, that sharp edge on the keyhole part was not really sharp, and it was not giving me what I wanted. Another thing to know is semi gum. I'm going to be using it to glue the front part. I'll place it in between the lining and the fabric so that it's going to make this thing stand, to make it stable. So now, since like I said, I don't like the sharp part, was not really coming out sharp, so I lose one part. That other part you're seeing now, I just loosed it out, and at this point I place it the way you are seeing me doing it now. And this is how I now later connected it. And after I was done using this step to connect it, I didn't lose all the parts, I didn't lose all the net. Remember, I just lose one side. So initially I would have just stitched from that edge to the other edge and leave this side alone. Later when I'm done, I will now stitch it together. But nevertheless, I just loosen it and I stitch it together like this. You can see now later. Then it was now okay. I was now okay with what I have. I'm showing us all this step. I can easily just jump all this step, but I'm showing us so in case you are trying to do that, you see how it's going to come out. And after I was done doing this now, I brought the down parts of the front, I connected it together. It's very easy to connect. Just place it, making the right side face the right side. Then after I was done connecting, I folded it back the same way it was. I put the lining. Just take a look at what I'm doing now. Put the lining, connect it together, stitch the sides together. Then for the down part, I connected it, also stitch it together, and now I'm going to be bringing the down part of the front, make the front side face the front side, and I'll connect it together. And this is exactly what I have after I was done connecting it together. And I just went ahead to check out the shoulder measurement if it was okay. Then at this time you can see we have excess armhole, so I'm going to be drafting out the armhole very well. Exactly, that's what I'm doing. After marking it very well, I'll just proceed to cut out all these excesses I have for the armhole. And guys, you can see, and here's the back part. I've gone ahead to add my zipper allowance, you can see, and this is the down part, which is going to have slits. You can see also I connected it, and for the slit I left about 8 inches. This is based on preference. You can leave 7 inches, you can leave 10 inches, depends on how you want the slit to be. And in between the slits like this, I'm going to be putting my hemi gum. Also, I will double the hemi gum to make it thicker, and I will iron it together so that it's going to be stable. And this is the shoulder. So now we are going to be connecting the shoulder of the front together with the back part, and I've placed, this is the front part I have already. I add the two parts of the shoulder together, both the lining and the fabric together. Then I'm placing it on the fabric of the back part using the lining to turn it. Just take a look at what I'm doing. I'm going to be repeating this thing so that you can see very well and do yours. This is how to sew the lining and hide it inside. This is how to sew the shoulder and hide everything you're sewing inwardly so that it's not going to show, it's not going to be roughly sewn. So after I was done doing this, you can just take a look and do yours exactly the way I did it. And after I was done doing this, before I connected the shoulder together, I went ahead to mark out my main measurement. So my bust measurement this time around, I'm going to be dividing it by 2 without including any allowance. On the waist, I divided my circumference by 2. I marked it on the dress I have already, and then from the half length where I joined it together, I came downward 10 inches to get the perfect place to mark out my hip measurement. I also divided the hip measurement by 2 and I marked it also. Then for the knee part, remember what I did when I was cutting? I just marked what I already marked here on the hip line. I removed 1 inch from it. I removed 1 inch from it to mark out the knee parts, and that's what I mark out on the knee part. And after I was done doing this, I just connected all the lines together, all the points together, and this is what I have. And now I'm going to be placing it on the back side. Remember, if you follow the procedure, first join the shoulder, then to connect the body together. But before I connected the body together, this is what I did. I've gone ahead to join the shoulder together. You can see the shoulder, you can see how close the thing is. This is exactly what you are going to get if you follow the step I showed us. And now after that, before I join the main body together, I'm going to be adding up my drape. So this is a fabric. I have about 1 yard of fabric, which is 36 inches, and the length is 40. Remember, if you're using Ankara print, the length of Ankara print is mostly 45, so I removed 5 inches from it. And on the side, I placed my dress on the side. Then on the point I joined together, I came downward about 4 inches. Then from that 4 inches, I'm going to be marking it down to 9 inches, and that is the part that I'm going to be draping my Ankara on it. So 9 inches. Yes, maybe when I'm draping it, if it's remaining, I'll just include 1 inch to make it 10 inches. It's still perfect for me. But remember, this draping, I'm going to be showing us the picture of how the drape is. It didn't start from the main half length. They came down a bit, so I came down 4 inches. And this is the fabric I'll be using for the draping. I just placed it on that point I marked. I folded it. Remember, initially I already folded the side of my Ankara, the fabric, the Ankara print together, and the downward, I also folded it together. Then I'm going to be placing it using my safety pin, using this pin to pin it together with this dress. You can see exactly how I'm draping it, how I'm folding it. Just take your time, look at what I'm doing right now, and you follow as well. In between the first drape or the first pleating I have is about 1 inch interval. Then the next drape is going to be 1 inch. So you just take a look at what I'm doing right now and follow to do. And if you don't want yours to have this drape effect, you can just continue with where we stopped, join the back and the front together, and guys, you're almost done with your dress without the drape. But if you want the drape, which also give it a very perfect look, just follow what I'm doing right now and do yours. Please don't forget to like this video. I really put a lot of effort to ensure you all get this video perfectly, and I would like to also see if you replicate this style using this tutorial to make yours. I would like to see the dress also. I have my Instagram page link on my bio parts. You can just see there, go on Instagram, check us out. Then after I was done doing this, using the pin to secure it, I'll take it to sewing machine and stitch it together. And this is what I have. I just have to zoom the camera to show us perfectly what we have. And after I was done, then I'm going to be connecting the back and the front together. You can see now. So the drape is going to be in between. When I'm stitching, it's going to be in between. Then I'll go ahead and stitch. You can see how I'm arranging my dress. I'm going to take it to stitching machine now and stitch it together side by side. And now you can see after I was done stitching it, I'll turn it inside out, losing out the zipper. You can see what I have there now. Then I'm going to give it a very nice ironing to make everything align perfectly. But you can see the sleeve is yet to be fixed. So this is the drape. To drape on the other side is either when you put it on, you drape it to ensure where you want it to stand, or you put it on your manicure to know where the other part is going to stand. But surely I'm going to be showing us later on. Okay, after that, I'm going to be bringing the sleeve that I already folded the down parts together. Then this is how I'm going to be fixing the zip, the sleeve. I'll connect it like this, exactly the way you're seeing me doing. And if you know how to fix your sleeve, just go ahead and do so. And guys, that's all for this video. And guys, this is just the first fitting. So it's lapping. You can see there's no bulge of the zip here. It's not folding. Everything is aligned perfectly. You can see the front. You can see everything. Then now I'm going to be showing us how to drape to the other side. You can see our drape already. So I'm going to hold it from the first drape I have, the pleating. I'm going to hold it up like this. Then I'll be following the pleating I have, the draping I did on the other side. I'll follow it all through. I finish up with all the pleating or the draping I have on it. Then I'm going to hold it up tight together like this and make it, align it well and make it balance on my body very well. Then it's left for you to determine exactly where you want it to be. This is me. I just carried the rope to tie it and see how it looks first before I'll go ahead and stitch it together with my machine. Bye guys, and see you in my next video.